Today we're going to talk about sweat. When people get stressed out, they tend to sweat a lot, usually in the underarm area. You've seen funny movies where someone will take off their jacket and their shirt is just totally soaked through, especially under the pits. Today in the Wall Street Journal, in the personal journal section, there is actually an article on sweat and the differences between athletic sweating and stress sweating. Back in high school, I used to talk about clean sweat and stinky sweat. That when I worked out and did my normal run every day, the sweat didn't really smell. But if I got nervous and sweated, that really stunk. Clean sweat, stinky sweat. That's really what's happening with the body. There are two types of sweat glands. One sweat gland comes into play when we're doing some sort of athletic activity or raising our heart rate. Maybe you're digging potatoes, or you're working hard chopping some wood, or out for a run. You're going to produce sweat, but it doesn't really have that much of a stinky smell to it. When we're nervous, a different gland comes into play, a sweat gland that's deeper down into the skin. And this sweat gland takes fat and proteins and brings them to the surface of the skin. They interact with bacteria, and that's what produces that more nasty, pungent smell. So my question's solved after all these years, some 30, 40 years, that there actually is a difference between sweat that's produced from some sort of activity and sweat that's produced when we release our stress hormones. Stinky sweat, that's the stress hormone kind, and that's what we want to avoid. When you move into an athletic heart rate, you're going to produce sweat that doesn't smell so much. But if you trigger too high, that's when those other sweat glands come into play. So if you've wondered all these years why some sweat smells and some sweat doesn't, this could be the answer why. Or your hygiene. So take a look at today's Wall Street Personal Journal. I'll put the link up with my video. Fascinating article on the two types of sweat glands and how they produce very different effects with our body. Hope you have a wonderful, pressure-free day. This is Elle.